Hello, welcome back to another video on the channel on a day when Newcastle United lost 4-1. Oh my goodness, at Villa Park. Not a good result for Newcastle, not a good performance, and that's kind of really what's more disappointing. You can kind of accept going to Villa Park and losing. They've got a very good home record, but to kind of do it in the manner that we did it in today is very, very disappointing. Just Villa completely deserved their win. It could have been more, and we can have absolutely zero complaints that they won the game comfortably. And that's what's a bit disappointing, because we just didn't show up. We didn't give a good account of ourselves. We couldn't get into the game. The midfield was not great today. The defence was not great today. There was massive gaps between the defence and the midfield today, which is unusual. And it was just all round just not a great performance. The fact that we managed to get back level at 1-1 was kind of a bit of a miracle, to be honest. And even then, I never felt that confident we would. I never felt that confident we would go on and get anything from the game. Obviously, Villa got a very lucky goal to begin with, but really after that, they could have scored 2 or 3 more before we equalised, and we can have no complaints. So fair play to Villa. They deserved it. They're having a great season. We need to focus on us. And here's the thing. That game is not the end of the world. It's only 3 points. It's 1 loss. Yes, it's disappointing, but it's not the end of the world, and there's no need to overreact. The fact is, we managed to beat Manchester United and Crystal Palace at home earlier in the week, and because we did that, that means that this particular defeat isn't as big of a deal. Like, if we'd have not beaten Manchester United or Palace or both, we would be in a situation where we were panicking a bit about qualifying for the Champions League. As it stands, we're still in a good position. We're still third at the moment. We might drop to 4th when Forest play on Monday against Spurs. But it's still in our hands, and that's the point. Everything's still in our hands, and everything is still to play for. And our next game is Ipswich at home, which, if you could pick and choose a game that you wanted, apart from Southampton at home probably, Ipswich at home would be right up there as one of the choices you would have. So the players are going to have a nice week, hopefully to rest, recover, get ready for the game, and hopefully go out and do what we need to do against Ipswich on Saturday. And hopefully 3 points next weekend will make us all feel a little bit better. The problem we've got now is, because we lost to Villa, everything's tightened up in that top 6 or 7, and that means that there's a bit of scoreboard pressure. And what I mean by that is teams that have got points on the board, and so there's not a gap. There's not a nice gap between us and some of the other teams. If we'd have beaten Villa today, then we would have had a nice little gap over a lot of teams, and we would have felt really comfortable. As it stands, we don't have that. That is scoreboard pressure, because although everything's in our hand, we've got to keep getting the results in order to do what we need to do by the end of the season. So it's going to be a very big, tight run-in for Champions League spots. We could probably forget about talking about finishing second, and now it's just going to be a case of refocusing the whole club, the fans, and just thinking, right, we just need to finish in the top 5. That is all we need to do. We just have to finish in the top 5. At this point, I couldn't care less whether we finish 3rd, 4th or 5th. I know there's money at stake in those positions, and I get that. Obviously, I'd rather finish 3rd than 4th, etc. But what I'm saying is, I don't care. I just want to finish in the Champions League qualification spaces at this point. That's all I want. And if we finish 5th, we finish 5th, and I don't care. But it is in our hands, and we've got the fixtures to do it. Before the Manchester United game last week, I said that if we were to win all of our home games that are left, then we'll be fine. And I still stand by that. So I think that this defeat against Villa is disappointing, but it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't change much in a sense. It just makes things a little bit harder for us, and we just need to refocus and make sure we win those home games, and probably try and get a result at Brighton or Arsenal, so we don't lose both of those away games. I think we probably might need to get at least a point from one of those games. That's going to give us 10 more points there. That's probably going to be enough for the top 5. So we will see. Other teams around us are going to drop points as well. Manchester City actually play Villa on Tuesday because they're both in the FA Cup next week. So that means one or both of those teams will drop points midweek as well. And again, that's going to temporarily add a bit of scoreboard pressure, because one of those teams is going to go above us if they win. Or if it's a draw, both of them will get closer to us. I think Man City might even go above us on goal difference if they draw. So the scoreboard pressure is there, but also if they draw, it means that we can, with a win against Ipswich, we can increase the gap overall. So although we play later than them, if we get the result, then that's fine. But the pressure comes because they've got the points on the board, if you see what I mean. The other question that this leads to really is, how much are we missing Eddie Howe being around the building? So we know that we've played 3 games in a week, and we obviously managed to win 2 of them, which is amazing at home, but then we lost at Villa away. Now, I'm not saying we wouldn't have lost to Villa, because perhaps 3 games in a week is just too much for this squad at this moment in time. And this is why we so desperately need Champions League football, so we can reinvest and have a deeper squad. Like Villa, like I said, they managed to make 4 or 5 changes from their starting lineup against PSG earlier in the week, and we went out with the same team 3rd time in a week. And really, there was only probably Gordon and Barnes that you could possibly swap. We just don't have that depth. So when things are going well, it's great. But, occasionally we put in these performances where the players are just probably so tired. So this is why we've had some heavy defeats this season as well. Brentford and Man City and things like that. We've had some big away defeats. How not being there, of course, is probably significant. And actually, the longer it goes on, the less good that is, because you can probably get by for a while without him, even though everything's probably in place with him not being there. The fact of the matter is, you want your main man there. He's the leader. He's got the ideas. He will be picking up on things. Usually, if things aren't right, he'll be the one who leads with ideas. So, Tyndall and Graham Jones have obviously done a good job, but we don't want this to carry on for too much longer. Hopefully, Eddie Howe gets better first and foremost. That goes without saying. We want him to be healthy before we think about his job. But really, we hope that he comes back and is around the football club very, very soon, because we don't want to be missing our manager on the run-in. We really hope that we can have him there, and I think it is significant. We have Ipswich at home next, and then 4 more games after that, 2 at home, 2 away. Some very tough games in there. This is not done and dusted Newcastle for 5th at the moment. We really have a task on our hands. It is in our hands. We're capable of doing it, but there is work to be done, and this result against Villa has really put a little bit of pressure on Newcastle United right now.